I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I hate it, clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. Take off. I'm on a rocket, a space dog. Bought a new car from Elon, wanna race. I've been asking how long is it gonna take. I've been cracking the car, had to break the safe. I've been writing my wrongs, had to change my ways. I was stuck in one place, so I had to shake. They try holding me down, but I found my way. Roddy Rich and so bicycle love me. Ride away, then my heart went all ice again. Find the balance, my patience been going thin. In the field every day till I reach the end. Popping up on your side like we out of bounds. Ain't no way that they think that it's stopping now. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. Air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out.
Well, what is up, football fans, and welcome back to the Air It Out podcast. I know, it's been a while. You missed us. We missed you. I mean, we missed talking football. We missed all things football, but it's okay. We are back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Air It Out podcast. Listen, before we get into all the formalities, I just wanna say it's really good to see your faces, man. It's really, really good to see your faces. Okay, just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so my name is Avery, if you didn't know, and I am joined on this panel with two amazing analysts, two of the best in the world, if I do say so myself. The one and only and Coach Darren Braxton. Juan, Darren, say what's up to the people, man.
I don't know if I should really be leading this off. See, I'm not the guy with the great big news this time around. You know, I'm just kicking back, relaxing, just living life. But I hope we have that clip already pulled up. Do we have the clip, people? Do we have the clip?
Oh no,
we need to go to Juan upstairs in the booth.
Listen.
We need to go to Juan upstairs in the booth.
Listen, Linda. Listen, okay. We gonna get into all the news and everything, but right now I just want to say what's up. That's all. Juan, what's up with you?
Coach trying to put me on the spot off the bat side. We never even been on a hiatus. Oh man. It's good to be back. I missed talking football this whole off season. It feels like the Super Bowl was just so recently, and now training camp is starting in the NFL. I love the smell of pigskin in the morning, guys.
I feel you. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, real quick before we move any further, I do want to give you guys a couple updates, okay? So number one, we will have a new streaming time. Yes, that's correct, ladies and gentlemen. A new streaming day and time. We're beta testing this, okay? All right, we want to come back and we want to bring you guys the greatest podcast on earth, and we know you guys want to see the greatest podcast on earth. So, with that being said, we're going to start our new streaming time Saturdays at 10 a.m. Saturdays at 10 a.m. We're a little late today because I'm dealing with some technical difficulties, so please forgive me. I said a little late. We're really late today, but it's all good. Saturdays at 10 a.m. is our new streaming time, all right? So I just wanted to put that out there. Again, right here, Air It Out Podcast, brought to you by Inside the Hashers. And with that being said, let's do something different here, okay? Let's do something different. Since we haven't been on in a while, I want to introduce a new segment today. I want to introduce a new segment today, just to bring it back home, okay? Just to bring it back home and see what's going on with you guys. So I want to know what's happening. What's happening, okay? I want to know what's happening with you guys. And I'm going to start with you, Coach. What's happening? What's going on?
So currently finishing up some work for my certification. Finishing up freshman academy for my new incoming ninth grade students. Starting back up for football and had a couple 7-on-7s. Getting that together for the guys. They're starting to look pretty good. But for the most part, just enjoying married life. Enjoying the first year. It's about to be my first anniversary in a few days, actually. Next week, we going to Jamaica. But
nice.
other than that, not too much. Avery, how have you been, my guy? How is engaged life?
I like it. I like it. Well, first of all, shout out to you. Happy anniversary. When is the actual anniversary? I know you guys are.
Then do we need?
Say it
Which
again.
one?
It is the 31st.
Okay, it's the 31st.
Oh.
Yeah, the 31st.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know you guys are celebrating early, somewhat, So shout out to y'all going to Jamaica, man. I wish I could be, I wish I could be there with y'all,
Oh, getting out of this hazy wildfire weather here in the United States to go to the clear blue skies of Jamaica, man. I hope you really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I don't know about this little fog every once in a while coming from Canada. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
it's ridiculous at this point. never seen Philly so smoggy.
You
Like
never
I'm
seen
in LA.
I remember those pictures of like New York with like the red sky and everything. Like what?
Just craziness.
No, and like where I am, like in Detroit, the air quality was so bad. We were number one in the world in like worst air quality. You couldn't even go outside and like take a breath because it was like smoking like 5 cigarettes at once.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe it. It was weird. It was terrible. It wasn't the best. I remember walking out one of those days and just immediately one like inhale and I was just coughing. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So yeah, that wasn't fun. That was not a fun time. But outside of that, man, what's going on? What's happening with me is I've just been enjoying the process of life, right? Life is supposed to be lived. So I've kind of just been enjoying that. I've been, doing my work thing. For those who may or may not know, I am the next generation director, pastor at my church. So I've kind of just been honing in and focusing in on that and what God has called me to do. And it's been a really, really dope season. I've enjoyed all of it. So yeah, it's been eye opening and refreshing and fulfilling mainly. So. Yeah, that's what's going on with me. But Juan, what's happening with you? I mean, Coach kind of gave like a little tidbit, sprinkle of a precursor to some big news. I don't know what he's referring to.
So I know big news. I know. We need Juan to report on this one, people.
Sound like it's breaking news or something. I don't.
The headphones already in, people. I don't listen. The headphones are already in. Breaking news, people.
So, for many who don't know, I'm a television news producer here for CBS News Detroit. And recently, we had a very special segment Friday night at like 6:25, where my sports anchor, the one and only Ronnie Duncan, played my engagement video live on the air for everyone in the Detroit area to watch. And you can see here my girlfriend. Not my girlfriend, my fiance, excuse me. It's still something to get used to saying. Right. Crying. Right. And oh man, and you know what's funny? Like the one shirt I chose to wear yesterday, like for that whole thing, because I wasn't expecting it to actually happen, was a Gardner Minshew jersey that I was wearing yesterday. And so like you're seeing me on TV with a tight Gardner Minshew Jaguars jersey announcing my engagement to the Metro Detroit area.
No comment. Listen, man, no comment. I think everybody gave you a little bit of grace there. I think they understood what was going on. You're typically, quote unquote, behind the scenes, not necessarily on the camera. So we give you some grace there. But more importantly, I think everybody was focused on the amazement of the moment. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here second. Juan, the one and only, is getting married. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Clap it up.
I'm joining the ranks. I'm in Avery on the engagement boat. Soon we'll be hopping on with Coach. And Coach, you're gonna be the only guy that's gonna be giving us marriage advice going forward.
Success.
Listen, man. I'm super ecstatic for you. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Shout out to you. Shout out to your wonderful, beautiful fiance. Praying for nothing but blessings and just prosperity and honestly just not happiness, because happiness is fleeting. I pray for joy, man. Joy unspeakable, peace that surpasses all understanding. I'm just, in clarity, So again, congratulations, Coach.
Do we have to change Juan's name? He's not the Juan and only anymore. It's not just him no more. He's a part. He's a package deal now.
This is true.
Oh my God. We have to find a new one, Dave.
I can't. I already committed to the brand name. I can't change it.
This is true, man. This is true. Chris, what is up? Thank you for joining in the chat. He said it's about time we're back. This is true. He also says, congrats, Juan. Yes, man. Congrats to you, Juan. Congrats to you, man. How about Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. The one and only doesn't necessarily. I don't know if it's gonna stick anymore. Because if wifey comes on, who knows? She might be a Patriots fan, and now Juan might be in one of these situations here.
Oh my God, no.
God. God, we're still doing this. It's okay. It's okay. While we're on the subject of that one and my lovely lady, she says, "Well, congratulations, Juan, on your."
I like that 1 plus 1.
Thank you, Mrs. Braxton. Thank you.
I like 1 plus 1 is fire, Chris. I like that. I think that's it.
And just a heads up, she's already a Jets fan because she took my Darrelle Revis jersey before she left, and she's been wearing it as a PJ ever since. So I have ingrained her. It's like, this is how you know I'm in love, guys. I gave up my Darrelle Revis jersey for the woman that I love. That doesn't come easy.
Listen, that's true love, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys understand what's going on here in the severity of those the implications there. But yeah, shout out to you, because Darrelle Revis is staying on my back. I'm sorry, but you are a better man than me. The 1 plus 1. I like that, Chris. That's so good. All right, now, listen. It's good to be back. It's good to know that you guys are doing well, man. And I'm grateful to be doing this with you guys again. So let's jump into the Air It Out podcast. Oh wow, Chris with the shade. Oh, that is good. That's good. I mean, technically,
he did win a ring there.
Yeah.
You know who's not a legend though? Asante Samuel talking all that kind of trash online with his whole Twitter spat with Darrelle Revis, man. Honestly, you dropped that easy pick in the Super Bowl that you could have beaten against Eli Manning, Asante. Come at me with that.
Mine a little spicy this morning. I like it. Listen, I'm not
We're
mad.
starting this day off right.
I'm not mad. Hey, listen, to be honest,
you want to prove wine?
That was absolutely one of the funniest things I saw that week. I'm like, Asante, did you really just try to come at somebody who's arguably top 3 all time? You're not even considered top 10. What's happened? In my head, I'm like, okay, I think everybody, most people, if not, I would say 95% of people have Prime as the number 1 corner, right? I think there's some streams of thought that have Charles Woodson up there. Some people might even have Aeneas Williams a little bit ahead of Prime. But I think the general consensus is that it's Deion Sanders, and you're not even in the conversation until we get maybe out of the top 15, and you throwing shots at like first ballot because you still trying to get in.
I'd give Mel Blunt like the
How
top
you
number
what?
two
How you
spot.
what? What Chris say? How you gonna hate from outside of the club? You can't even get in.
Let go.
What? Like, what is happening? I'm sorry.
And the funniest thing is that this discussion came because he was saying that Sauce Gardner was like not like was an All Pro last year that didn't deserve to be an All Pro, and like was just talking trash about Sauce like on Twitter, just like Sauce isn't even messing with you. Like he's not even making any of these arguments, man.
He's a
He's a young buck in the game. You're trying to tear him down. That's wild.
Yeah, man. Like
It's
share
like-
the wealth. What happened to sharing the wealth?
More importantly, he was a rookie, and as a rookie, people have said his name more than yours your entire career. What are we talking about right now? It's like,
Well, that's my cue. Quick question, people. I know we're not supposed to mention that despicable name on here, but
no.
Since we're talking about this random people talking online,
Oh God.
any thoughts on the back and forth? Because it was more than just one comment now between him and these entertainers.
I'm not talking about that. If we're going to bring his name up, we're going to talk about DK putting him as his number one receiver all time. That is something that we can talk about because it's football.
And even then, I don't think there's a good case for him to be number one all time.
Not even close.
No.
There's the valid reason for maybe bottom of top 10, but number one all time.
Look, yeah.
Yeah, no.
He had a great stretch.
We don't have to go over the track record. All right, we don't. But I will say this: when you have the power to tank not one, not two, but 3 teams' future prospects, and then just eliminate a team out of its own league altogether after you become their owner, I don't want to hear from you for the rest of. I don't want to hear from you ever.
Yeah.
Unless it's a public apology.
Yeah, I'm so over the rhetoric around this man. I'm good. I am good. Now, okay, back to DK. If that's your top 5 favorites, sure. Hey, I have no problem with that.
I mean, that's like Brandon Miller saying that Paul George is the GOAT.
Right. Again, which I don't have a problem with, right? Because it's like, who did you grow up and model your game after, or who did you grow up and say, man, this guy was the guy that inspired me and made me want to play? There's some bias in every single one of these ranking lists. Anytime we do it, like that's just.
But let me ask a question. When we're talking about the best wide receivers in the game, it's similar to the GOAT in basketball. It's a consensus 3-4 that is always in that same.
Oh my God, he said the name.
I mean, you said it's a consensus of like the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's always a consensus of the top 3 or 4. When it comes to the GOAT debate, you have Jordan, we have Kobe, we have LeBron. Those are the top 3 in most debates.
Okay,
in most debates, those are the top 3. Those are the consensus top 3.
I can give you that
in most debates. So again, for wide receivers, you have Randy, you have Jerry, you have T.O., and you have a person of Megatron, who I've heard a lot more of the last few years. And I'm not saying that it's not there, but those are those like consensus 4 for the top 4 spots.
I would disagree.
So how can we have AB thinking he's even, or having someone thinking that
I would disagree. I would disagree because I agree with the top 3. I believe that the top 3 are consensus across the board. Randy, T.O., Jerry Rice. I think, and no matter what order you put them in, I think those are the top 3. Me personally, my order is T.O., Randy, Jerry.
Again, everyone has a different order.
Right.
Jerry, Randy, T.O.
In some type of way.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing. after that's when it gets murky for me, where it's just like I can't say that this is consensus because some people then put in Megatron, some people then put in Larry Fitzgerald, some people put in Julio Jones, people put in Chris Carter, some people put in Marvin Harrison. Like that, it gets sketchy there.
But now one person you mentioned was AB.
But they didn't grow up watching these guys, right? Like, so it's hard to see, like Chris says, younger players coming into the league, they're not going to say Jerry because they didn't grow up watching them and watch AB and Odell more in their prime. It's kind of like how I was talking to one of the kids and I asked the question, who's the greatest rapper of all time? And their immediate response was Lil Baby. And I'm like, wait a second. Right, but I understand it because
you know how many times I heard the name Control come out of their mouths.
They didn't listen. They didn't grow up in the era that we did. And the reason I have T.O. above everybody is because everybody's trying to draft the next T.O. Nobody's trying to draft the next Jerry Rice because if you run a 4.7 today, you're not getting drafted at receiver. And Randy Moss, as great as he wasn't as complete of a receiver as was Terrell Owens. And so for me, he changed the position forever. And because of that, he is the greatest in my opinion. But this is not the debate for today, okay?
It's another debate we got.
We got some other things to talk about. We got some other things to talk about. And so I want to talk about these running backs, man. These running backs are getting a lot of scrutiny right now. For I guess their approach to their contracts and different things like that. They're having questions. They feel undervalued. Some people say that they're overvalued. It's a huge conversation that's going on right now in sports where every generation is going to go with the guy they watch. Makes sense. Unless you're an objective fan, right? But yeah, so with that being said, like these running backs, they're trying to get paid. These GMs are not trying to pay them. And I want to know from you guys how you feel about it. 1+1. I want to know from you, what is the running back market value? What would you say a running back deserves to get paid? Do you have a number, or do you feel like it's a little more nuanced?
I think it should be nuanced. Specifically with like the makeup of how a certain team's offense will go. For example, not every team has Saquon Barkley. Not every team has Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb, where the offense is predicated around the success of the run game. Where basically the run game makes up a good chunk of your offense, and those same backs also make up like a good percentage, not a big percentage, but a good possession of the passing game too. Saquon, phenomenal when he's catching the ball. Christian McCaffrey comes to mind when he had his 1,000 yard season. Joe Mixon, very underrated pass catcher of the ball, and the running back position has become such a large demand position. You are demanded to be able to run through the holes of the offensive line, no matter how small the crease may be. You're demanded to be able to run clean routes like a wide receiver outside of, like inside of the pocket, whether it's a wheel route, an out route, or anything like that. You are demanded to even be able to pass block against premier defenders when they're coming off the edge or inside the line. Like, you are asked to do so much, and the competition just isn't matching that kind of ask. And it's rough to see the evolution of the need of the running back from the last 10 years. I saw this one video that said that more likely than not, should he keep up his pace, Derrick Henry might be the last running back to make a Hall of Fame bid. Because with the way that NFL teams are operating their offenses now, it's no longer as predicated as having a downhill bell cow back. It's always running back by committee. Specialized backs for specialized needs. You'll have one back that can pass block, one back that can catch, one back that can run. Like, there's no longer a premier starting running back. It doesn't matter who it will be, because you'll have two others that can pick up in other parts of the game. And the three backs in particular that are kind of the face of this of this problem is Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard. Now, for a fact, Barkley and Jacobs are going to sit out the season because there's no way that they've made it clear.
Don't forget Austin Eckler too. He's in that.
Oh, definitely Austin Eckler, right? But he also took a pay cut. Like Eckler took a pay cut and came back. So he already signed the contract. Saquon, Josh, and Tony didn't sign their franchise tags. They don't have to come back. Eckler does. And then you have that's one class of backs. Those are the tagged backs. Then you have the released backs. Ezekiel Elliott, who was a fearsome runner of the ball in his early years, but now in his age 27, age 28, the brunt has kind of taken its toll, but he's still a good downhill back, as is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, his age 27 year, and people are arguing that he had a down year, so he doesn't deserve the payment. My guy, the Minnesota Vikings wouldn't have had the lucrative season that they had it not been for Dalvin Cook taking pressure off the passing. Then the next category is backs that took pay cuts. Joe Mixon to stay with the Bengals, Aaron Jones to stay with the Green Bay Packers. They are important in the game, but not as much as you would think they need. And then at the end of it, these holdouts, this market can go one of two ways. You can go the Emmitt Smith route, where he held up and got his money during his rookie season and missed 2 games, and the Cowboys caved in. So that might happen. Or you take the Le'Veon Bell route, and unfortunately, you'll be out for a full year of your prime. And even if you sign a contract with another team, there's no guarantee you're going to be the same player with your return. Ultimately, and I'll end with this, the biggest reason that this is happening is because of the previously agreed upon conditions of the collective bargaining agreement that happened in 2021, where the Players Association did not eliminate the franchise tag. That should have been gone.
Listen, that's a huge argument, a huge case that can be made. I think running backs would agree there 110%. I'm not sure if every other position would agree, but I believe running backs absolutely agree with you. Coach, what are your thoughts?
So it's all right. Pay the running backs, and if you're going to pay the running backs, you got to pay them like you've been paying everyone else. Yes, everyone else's jobs has been going up. Whether it's a quarterback getting way more money than some of them deserve, you're getting receivers. Some of them that are getting paid number 2 receivers, number 3 receivers, getting paid 10, 12 million a year at the number 2 or 3. But a starting running back in the league, as they said, can't get that. He runs for the ball, getting some of the most contact in the game. He catches the ball out the backfield or lined up in the slot or outside wide, like a receiver, as well as has to be able to fully pass block against some of the biggest guys on the field. But you're telling me that their value is not worth more than a number 2 or number 3 receiver, especially when they're some of the best at their positions? That does not make sense. Now, I can understand if some of the reasonings be it injuries, by all means. Because as we know, Saquon Barkley had the injury history in the past. He's not had too many fully healthy seasons. But when healthy, he's one of the most dominant and lethal backs in the backfield. Same thing for Josh Jacobs. This is his first year where he played all 17 games. And we see what he can do with all 17 game season. But again, this is his first one of his career. So I can understand when it comes to tagging these guys for 1 year, making sure they can do it again, and then possibly give them a long-term extension. But it's the franchise tag being able to double tag and triple tag, and it's still not being what a real guarantee would be for them. The only one I don't really understand is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, this is his first real year doing something, so he had to take the tag. I don't understand why he was an issue for some people. What made me upset was Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler had 38 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Let's just put this in comparison. There is NFL teams that to not do that on their entire offense in a year. He's one person, he did that by himself, 38 touchdowns. Let's just put that in perspective. And he runs, he catches out the backfield. He's one of their leading receivers almost every single year, as well as their leading rusher almost every single year. Pay that man.
So
you have a rookie quarterback. Pay that man. You just got multiple receivers that you drafted, but you're not paying the one running back that has been consistently a threat for you for the last 3 to 5 years now. Pay him.
I'm going to read the depth chart real quick for the Cowboys and the Chargers. So behind Tony Pollard is Malik Davis, Ronald Jones, and Deuce Vaughn. And behind Austin Eckler, Joshua Kelly, Isaiah Spiller, and Larry Roundtree. Now, one of you guys tell me any of those names is going to be able to make up even a quarter of the production that either Tony Pollard or Austin Eckler is going to do.
Thank you.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Thank you. They tried this before. Josh Kelly is a backup for a reason.
So I would agree.
For a reason.
I would agree in the case of Austin Eckler because I think he's one of those once in a generation backs, right? I think you can't necessarily replace what he does, right? However, with Tony Pollard, as great as he is, I do think a running back by committee situation and those running backs that they have could actually do what he does. Deuce Vaughn catching the ball out of the backfield with his explosiveness, and then Ronald Jones, we know he's a tough runner when healthy. DeMarco Murray got about 300 touches combined for the first 2 years, and they gave him a serious workload, his contract a year.
Jerry Jones is not known to be a fair man. That's all I'm going to say.
So what I'll say is this. There's a case that's being made, and I agree with this, but I'm going somewhere. So the case is that it's a question that's posed. Name the last top 5, top 10 running back to win the Super Bowl.
I would say Marshawn Lynch in 2013.
So we're talking 10 years ago, right? And then prior to him, name the next one. And we all know that it was more so predicated on the Legion of Boom in the first place. Running game, of course, as well on offense, but the Legion of Boom. The point is
Jerome Bettis is the next one I can think of.
The point is that as great as these running backs are, it doesn't necessarily translate to Super Bowl wins. Now, me personally, I don't agree with the sentiment because I believe that football is the ultimate team sport. I don't believe any one person is going to be responsible for the win or the loss of a football game. So that's just my personal opinion. However, I understand the mindset behind it and the concept behind it, so I can agree with that. However, I saw a statistic the other day that kind of blew my mind. And it was about the franchise tag that you brought up, Juan. In 2014, the franchise tag for quarterback was around $15.6 million. In 2023, it's over 30. It's over $30 million. In 2014, the average I'm not even going to give the number. I'm just going to give you the disparity in this case. So we see 15 to 30 plus. That's about $15 million in just under 10 years. Can anybody guess how much the average the average franchise has increased for running backs since that time?
4%.
Less than $2 million. Less than $2 million. So you have quarterbacks who went on from $15 million to
that's just a franchise tag. That's not the top guy. The top guy.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point, Coach. That's just the franchise tag. We're not even talking about the top tier guys who are going to get $40, $50 million a year. We're not even talking about. We're talking about just the middle of the pack guys who just play well enough to get franchise tags. Was like, we're not sure, and you're getting 30 plus million, and we're not even sure if you're the guy moving forward. Yet running backs, who we all have just like went through. They run the football, they block, they catch out the backfield. They literally put their bodies on the line every single play. Outside of offensive and defensive linemen, nobody on the field gets hit more than running backs. Nobody. Less than $2 million. Like, this is absolutely egregious. Now, do running backs deserve to get paid the same amount as a quarterback? No, I don't think so. I don't think that that's the case. But here's my personal opinion. I personally believe that they should get at least what tight ends and linebackers get. Like, at least what they
get. With that.
At least in that range of franchise tag. That's because, to me, it makes sense based on what they do in the workload, right? Tight ends still have to, they're playing dual role. They have to block like linemen, but then they also have to be receivers out in passing routes and catch the football, and they have to be the most sure-handed receivers on the team for a lot of the time, right? And they have to go across the middle against those linebackers and hard-hitting safeties and all those things. Linebackers, they've got to shed blocks from 300-plus pound linemen. They've got to hit 230-plus running backs, but they also got to guard 230-pound tight ends and all. So to me, it's comparable. Pay them around what they make. I'm not saying that they need to be up there with quarterbacks and receivers and corners and even edge rushers, but like interior linebackers and linemen. Interior linebackers and tight ends. I think that's a comparable situation, like, comparable situation that they should be paid according to. But let me hear your thoughts on that. Do y'all think that? Do you guys, Coach? You said you agree. Juan, how do you feel about that?
So my actual thing is, I do agree with that, but I actually want to propose something to you, which is, if we're going to do this, then if we're going to say basically it's a tier system of who should be getting paid most depending on the impact of the game, we should all say one is quarterback. They're the ones with the ball in their hand, at least majority of the game.
I disagree.
I would say majority of the game, as it's going to them and they are the ones.
I disagree. If I had my choice of who gets paid the most, it would be offensive linemen, point blank and period. But continue.
No, again, I'm not saying that that's it, but when we're talking in the gist of it, is quarterbacks up top, number one. That underneath of them, then I was actually going to have offensive linemen, defensive linemen. That is my next bracket of tax, because they're the ones that are getting paid the next highest afterwards. Then after them, you would have the corners and the receivers. Then you have the tight ends and the linebackers and the running backs. Am I about right? Is this about the gist of how this should be set up? Because I don't think it should. I think, honestly, the tight ends, the linebackers, should be in between where the receivers and the corners and all of that are, and the linemen. They're doing more for me, honestly, than the corners and the receivers. I know that they're getting all the accolades more now, the stats, due to the pass-happy league and the now need for more D-backs, but they're still not doing as much as some of these other positions. And these other positions are getting undervalued because they're such a dirty and does not have.
I don't want to take away from anybody's position, right? So I've played almost every position in football, and I know how taxing it is depending on what position you play. The most taxing position that I ever had to play, without question, was running back. It was the most taxing on my body physically, without question. The least taxing, without question, was quarterback. It was the least taxing on my body. And here's the thing, our offensive line wasn't that great, so I was getting hit. But it's a different type of preparation and a different type of hit that you take, as opposed to running through the hole, and it's me versus 250 in the hole, who's going to win, as opposed to this defensive lineman has to get around the offensive lineman and then still have to chase me down. And so I don't want to compare in that regard, because I think that everybody's, like, when it comes to football, it's the most dangerous sport on the planet. you literally risk your life every time you go out there, unless you're a punter or kicker. No shade. So I just believe that everybody deserves to get paid something. I just don't think that running backs should be forgotten about in the way that they are. And I think that's more so my point than anything. It's like, let's increase the number so they feel valued. Like at the end of the day, like we got to understand, like these are some of the toughest guys on the field because of what they have to deal with. They literally sometimes have to block 300 plus defensive linemen. They got to block 250 plus linebackers. They've got to run through those same guys. They got to catch the football. They got to be agile enough to get around that corner who runs a 4-3. They've got to be smart enough to maneuver around the safety who knows how to play middle of the field and play angles. These are like, they're extremely valuable commodities. And I just feel like we just need to have the compensation at just like comparable to what they're doing. I'm not saying that they need to be paid quarterback money.
They're not trying to reset the market.
But just like a fair amount. So I got a few points. I'll end the discussion now. Number one, in what I saw on Twitter, apparently the difference in salary expectations that the Giants had for Saquon versus what Saquon was demanding was literally a matter of $1 to $2 million. Like that's the sliver. That's the sliver. That was the difference of $1 to $2 million in payment. That's number one. Number two, the average NFL kicker as of right now makes more than an average NFL running back on a per year salary basis.
Yep.
And that's a fact. Like I saw, like instead, like on average, kickers make about $8.4 million, running backs around 8.2 to 8.1 million. Yep. Very like that. That's the standard, and both are very different, and the physical demands that each position carries. And then last possible solution that I saw online. What if you made running back rookie contracts higher guaranteed and lower year contracts? That way, running backs get the most for their buck based on the physical demands of the position demands. And once those second contract talks come up, they don't have to be as big as the initial demands.
Juan, I'm not mad at that. And Ray, we're going to get to this question. We're definitely going to get this question. But I want to that. I think that again, because here's the reason I say this. I know that there's this concept, like this thought that's like, okay, well, let's pay the running backs early because toward the end of their career they're going to fall off in the tail. Yes, and for the most part that's true. However, we've seen medicine and the advances in medicine change a lot of that. I mean, to this day, I think Adrian Peterson could give you like 500 to 800 yards, like, and he's like near 40. Now, granted, he's an anomaly in the game. Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, those type of guys are just otherworldly. I think one of the issues that we deal with is we're taking some of these injuries that running backs get, and we're like saying, "Oh, see, that's why." Like, but those are some anomalies too. Like, nobody could have foresaw that Todd Gurley was going to get arthritis in his knee. Nobody. And is that even common for a running back? Like, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
No, but that was that.
Like I've heard
he had concerns coming out of college with him.
Still, my thing is this: I've heard, okay, like if it's a bad break, if it's an ACL or an MCL or something, okay, I can understand those things, but you run that risk at every single position in football. So don't just limit it to running backs, because wide receivers tear their ACL all the time and bounce back and then get $20 million. So don't
got 18 out of us.
So I don't know. But let's jump to Ray's question real quick. If I have a question for you gentlemen, with Lamar Jackson getting paid and with what the Ravens have done to improve their offense, are you ready to admit that Lamar Jackson is overrated if they get knocked out of the playoffs. So
I was about to say one has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do want to. We gotta add that caveat. I'm going to say this. Lamar Jackson has been overrated. Now, hear me clearly when I say this. I am not saying that Lamar Jackson is not great. He is a great football player. He's one of the greatest football players on planet Earth right now. He's a top 3 football player in the NFL. But because you're a top 3 football player doesn't mean that you're a top quarterback. And that's the position that he plays. So when I say that he's overrated, I believe that he's overrated as a quarterback. Absolutely. Now, does that mean that he's terrible as a quarterback? No. I think Lamar's biggest issue is his mechanics, and I think everybody can see that, right? He's got the arm. When the mechanics are good, he can be accurate. We know how dynamic of a runner he is and a playmaker is, all of those different things. His IQ is up there. It's not like he's just making boneheaded plays all the time. He doesn't turn the ball over a ton amount of times either, right? So it's really just a mechanics thing with Lamar Jackson. And because of that, he's overrated as a quarterback, in my opinion. As a football player, though, he's a top 3 football player. He might be the number 1 football player in the league, so you had to pay him because he's probably the best football player in the NFL right now. The guy is dynamic, and when he's on the field, there's no way you cannot account for him. Like, there's a difference between great players and game changers, right? A great player can give you 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and it never really affects the game. Lamar Jackson affects the game every single time that ball is snapped. You have to worry about what's about to happen. He's that dynamic. So I don't think he's overrated as a football player. I do think he's overrated as a quarterback. Why? I'm going to start with you, then go to you, Coach, because this is obviously your team.
I concede all my time to Coach because I know he's going to have much more to say and much more in-depth knowledge of the situation than I am.
Okay, so I'll make this actually really, really simple, right? And it's somewhat along the lines of Avery. I believe his first 3 years in the league, Lamar Jackson was a below average to average passer of football. I believe he showed a lot of good signs of being a great passer, but his first 3 years was not it. Let's just be very honest and very transparent. We knew that he was going to be a little bit of more of a project coming in as a passer. The football player, he was a great football player. Of the last 2 years, if you were to expand his seasons for a full season, Lamar Jackson has been one of the better passers in the league. Of the last 2 years, he has been one of the better passers of the football in the league. Not top 5, but top 10 in this league. So with now having more upgraded weapons than he's had before, a new system in place that should be or that has been inclined or tailored to a pass-happy quarterback offense that will allow the quarterback to run and things of that nature, or make more checks at the line for himself. It should allow him to be a better passer again and do better in the playoffs where we need that passing ability. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to automatically gel well, as it is a new system. You got to get right with it. But no, I do not believe it would be a sign of him being overrated if he's not able to, especially with what people are trying to say about the weapons he did get this year. As one is coming off a major injury, one is getting drafted into the league, and one is coming off of an injury that he's had for the last 2 years.
So I want to touch on this point by Ray. The last part in particular, he's not accurate enough to win in the playoffs. That I don't agree with. The reason being is because we've seen some inaccurate quarterbacks win in the playoffs. I think
Tim Tebow won a playoff game, people.
Exactly. And I think more importantly, I think it's a team sport. So I don't think it falls solely on Lamar Jackson. However, back to what I was saying before about his accuracy. Accuracy is all about mechanics. I'm going to repeat that for the people in the back. Accuracy is all about mechanics. It's not about hand-eye coordination. It's not about where you're looking. It's all about mechanics, and it starts with your feet. If your feet are wrong, your mechanics up top are probably going to be terrible as well. And Lamar Jackson's feet in the pocket are typically horrible. His mechanics are not good. I honestly blame there's blame to be placed on Lamar Jackson without question, but I blame the Ravens organization as well for not bringing in somebody to develop his mechanics. We've seen the likes of people like Patrick Mahomes, who had not the best mechanics coming out of Texas Tech, but they got somebody who was working on his mechanics. We've seen somebody like Josh Allen, who didn't have the best mechanics coming out of college, but they made sure we were like, now we see potential. You can get this together. Let's work on your mechanics. And that gun, that cannon that you have, we can utilize it better because your mechanics will lend itself to that. So I blame the Ravens in part as well because they didn't do that. They decided, well, we're just going to tailor our offense around what he does best, which is run the football. I get it. I understand it, but you're not developing. And that's my issue. You didn't develop him as a quarterback. And you have to do that in order for him to be a guy that can lead your team to the next level. The Ravens haven't done everything they can to help him. Yes, they have, except for get him somebody who's going to help him develop as a quarterback. Like you can have as many weapons. You can have as many weapons as you can as you want. If you're missing the weapons, it means nothing. You have
a quarterback. Are you saying Rashad Bateman is what was that big help they needed? Are you saying Hollywood Brown was that big weapon?
That's what I was about to ask, but I didn't want to go too far.
Deshaun Jackson was going to be
to watch the Des Bryant era.
Wait. Let's be clear. I think Ray is talking about this year. I think he's talking about
this year again.
Mark Andrews. I think they like Devin Duvernay. Let's not sleep with him. He's actually a really good guy.
All right, but again, our starting three guys right now looking out as OBJ, someone that's coming off of a torn ACL for the last 2 years. Rashad Bateman, who destroyed his Achilles last year and missed basically the entire year after playing only really 4 games. And then a rookie, Zay Flowers, who is just coming in the league and we're not sure what he's going to be yet. We know what he can be, but we don't know if he's going to develop into that. You have other guys that's proven, but none of them are number ones. They're number 3s, there's number 2s, but there's no number 1s fully established after those 3 guys. Nelson Aguilar is not that. Devin Duvernay is not that. James Prochet is not that. Tylan Wallace.
Laquan Treadwell is not that.
Like, they're not. They're certified role players.
I get that, but at the same time, see, and this is where I get to the point where we're like, we start to move the goalposts for certain players to fit our narrative, right? Like, name any offense in the NFL that honestly has 3 number 1s playing receiver. Like, you're not gonna find it. You might get 5 that have 2 guys that could potentially be number 1s, right? You got the Dolphins where Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill could potentially be number 1. You got the Bengals where Jamar Chase and T. Higgins could potentially.
The 49ers with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel.
Right. So Eagles. Outside of that, you're not going to find a lot of. It's typically one guy who's that guy, and then a really good number 2. And I believe that what Ray is saying is that this year they've done that. They've given him that one guy who really could, as long as he's healthy. Odell Beckham, we all know, when healthy, is a top 5 receiver in the league. He's proven that time and time again. When he's healthy, he's a number 1 for sure. Rashad Bateman, I mean, we've seen the potential in this guy to be a number 1. So if he pans out the way that he could, I mean, you could have a legit 2 number 1s on your team. And then after that, that's where the question mark comes in, which I understand. My point is develop Lamar Jackson as a quarterback because they can be number ones as much as they want to be. If he can't get them the ball, it does not matter. So that's why I land on that. So a stud tight end and a good offensive line isn't enough. It's enough for Patrick Mahomes. That is not true, Ray. And
No,
Mahomes had Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney. He had flipping.
He had to refill that point for the longest of time.
That one, Ray. I'm not going to agree with you there because you got Patrick Mahomes.
He even had Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins was still semi-okay.
I mean, and for a majority of his career, he had Tyreek Hill, and I'm not going to go there. And then you have a literally an Olympic track team at receiver, like at that literally, you just gotta just throw the ball as big as far
Hardman
as you can.
Now, Jet.
Like
yes,
I'm just saying. At one point, they were like an Olympic track team.
And let's also not say that Andy Reid as a play caller is not better than what we've had the last few years in Greg Roman. Like that's a disservice to Andy.
Yeah. So
right now.
All I'm saying is this. I will say this. I've always had Lamar Jackson as people. I've viewed him as overrated as a quarterback, not as a football player. I think this year, if he stays healthy, I honestly have them probably second in the AFC as a whole. Like he's that dynamic, and I think he has this chip on his shoulder, and he's upset at this point. Ray says, "Who has a better defense?" So more excuses, just like usual. I see, and I can't agree there because let's not forget that the Chiefs, after Week 6 last year, literally after Week 6, had a top 10 defense in the NFL. That goes under notice because of
let's also not excuse the fact that they've had Chris Jones averaging almost 13 to 15 sacks a year.
Hold on. After Week 6, they literally had a top 10 defense for the rest of the year, coupled with MVP Patrick Mahomes. And then here's the other thing. We have to stop comparing people to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is an anomaly. It's like trying to compare Gardner Minshew to Tom Brady. And I'm not saying that the disparity is that wide, but we got to stop taking these anomaly guys and making them the standard. Tom Brady's an anomaly. Nobody's done what he's done. Peyton Manning, who is arguably one of the greatest, did not do what Tom Brady did. Patrick Mahomes is another one of those guys. Nobody can do what he does. The only person who comes close to that is Aaron Rodgers. That's the only person. Everybody else is chasing that. And we got to stop using them as the standard. If we're going to use a standard at quarterback and say, like, this is what the prototypical quarterback you would probably want this guy to be like, that's probably like a Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen type level. Those guys are really good who win a lot of games every single year, but then you got these anomaly guys that they got to face every single year, i.e. Patrick Mahomes, i.e. Tom Brady. They're not the standard. We got to stop making them the standard. The only real point is that no quarterback should make more money than Patrick Mahomes. I agree with that.
Just say that. I'm fine with that. I can agree with that.
Can we get off this topic, please? We've been talking about this for the last 20 minutes.
I agree. All right. So we're gonna jump into our last bit. We're gonna make it short because we have been on for an hour, but it's okay. It's our first time back in a minute. We had a lot to talk about, man. It's been a while since we've been able to talk football and chop it up like this, so it's all good. All right, so we're gonna get on our last topic, and it's real short. I want to know, what camp battles are you watching? What are you looking for? Who are the guys that you're saying, like, man, this right here, this position battle is going to be amazing? Or is it like a rookie that you're coming in that's going to be like, yo, I want to see what they're going to do? What is it? Talk to me, Coach. I'm starting with you.
All right, cool. I got you. So I got two in particular that I really want to see, and then I have one like wild card just because I really, really want to know how that shifts out with the lineup. So number one for me is the Ravens wide receiver room. As we already mentioned before, is all these new receivers, all the older guys coming in, all the younger guys is still there trying to develop. Who's going to be the core 4 to 5? We're not going to be having most likely 6 to 7 receivers. We're going to have about 5 to 6 max. So who's going to step up and be that number one, number two? How's that going to line up? Number two, with the departure of Miles Sanders and then the addition of DeAndre Swift, you had Trey Sermon, you have Rashad Penny, you still got Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott. How's that the running back room is going to look for the Eagles now? Because that was one of the only things that, in my opinion, they need to upgrade it possibly. Listen, you can show the picture all you like, but the Eagles are the defending NFC champions, and they're doing good. I can't knock them when they're doing good. I still am a football fan at heart, and that's a great competition right there. But lastly, the Chargers. The Chargers receiver room, actually. How is it going to be with Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Palmer, and Keenan Allen? Is Josh Palmer going to now be that number 4 guy? Is the rookie going to come in and supplant him at number 3? Or
I like that.
Is it still going to be only a 2 really receivers set most times and actually be that 3rd slot guy, basically?
I like that.
I just want to see how that shakes out because I really like what Quentin Johnson can be for that team, allowing Mike Williams and him on the outside and then sliding Keenan Allen into the slot. That would be dangerous for them.
I like that. I like that one, Coach. That's a good one right there. I like that. That's good. Juan, talk to me.
I got 3 obvious ones that I'll knock out real quick. First off, Tennessee backup quarterback situation: Malik Willis versus Will Levis. You bring in the young gun out of Kentucky in the 2nd round when you still have the Liberty, the Liberty 3rd rounder from last year, looking like he's improving in camp. So, are you going to cut Malik Willis after just 1 year? Was he really that bad last year that he couldn't fix his mechanics the year after? And is Ryan Tannehill really the only option that you have to keep in order to maintain status quo? That's going to be an interesting battle to watch, especially to see Levis develop because he was hyped up in the draft. I didn't see it in the draft process. I didn't even think he was that good of a prospect to begin with. Then you have the Jets left and right tackle positions. Those battles right now. Aaron Rodgers going to turn 40 in December. Not as nimble as he used to be as a quarterback, so you got to protect that outside edge. Is Mekhi Becton back to full health after getting injured last training camp and losing 60 pounds over the offseason? Dwayne Brown, is he still elite despite being in his elite age? Max Mitchell showed a lot of heart and a lot of really good technique during his time at right tackle. Can he win that starting spot over Billy Turner, who was a Packers mainstay and was a rotation piece whenever I forgot his name, Packers left tackle, but he was an all-pro left tackle over there. But never that guy was injured. Billy Turner would sub in and did a pretty decent job and has been in the Hackett system for a while now. And then also the Bengals safety. You lose Jesse Bates to Atlanta. You lose Von Bell to the Panthers. So now you have this open competition at safety. Will Dax Hill step up in year 2? Will bringing in Nick Scott's help fill in for depth? Will Jordan Battle, that they drafted this year, make up the difference? It's all like that. Like the Bengals have an open Super Bowl window right now, so long as Joe Burrow is under center. But can they maintain the quality defense that they've had in years past to pick up the pace and keep that window open for the foreseeable future?
I like it. I'm not mad at it. All right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to throw a little bit of curveballs. A lot of times we talk about camp battles. It's like who's going to start over who. This first one I'm going to go with who's going to be number 1, because there are reports that I'm hearing and seeing that there's questions about who's the number 1 guy in Philly, and I'm talking about in the receiver room. They're saying that Devontae Smith is taking leaps like they were not expecting. Obviously, we know that he's a dynamic route runner. He's a shifty guy. He can catch the ball. He's really good at the point of attack. But then you got A.J. Brown, who's so physical, who also can catch the ball, who also can go deep, who also can do all those things. And there's just questions about who's going to be considered number 1. I mean, we all know that last year was without question A.J. Brown, but I'm interested to see what that looks like. I honestly believe that there's a little more chemistry between, excuse me, Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith because of them playing with each other longer. Um, but I'm just interested to see what that's going to look like. So that's the first one for me that I'm kind of looking at. The second one is San Francisco. I mean, what's happening in that quarterback room? I just want to know what's about to go down. Like, I need to know, is it going to be Brock Purdy? Is it going to be Trey? Like, what's about to go down in that quarterback room? I cannot wait to see what Kyle Shanahan does. I think he has a very, very good problem on his hands. And so I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that. I'm interested as well to see what's going to happen with the Washington Commanders with that quarterback room. The reports are that they're going to let the young guy get the brunt. But I just don't know if that's going to continue throughout the entirety of the season. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen there. And then last but not least, I'm just curious as to what's going to happen. I'm going to keep it in the division here. I'm curious as to what's going to happen with Tampa Bay. Obviously, you're moving on from Tom Brady, and so I'm just wondering what's going to happen. What's going to look like in that quarterback room? Are they going to make another move to maybe get somebody who's like just dynamic? Do they go after, let's say, a Will Levis or something like that? If they hear that he's doing really well in camp, maybe he wins the second job and they send a trade over for him or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Or just bring Tom Brady out of retirement again.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then the final thing is not a camp battle, but it's a season battle. We don't know if Tony Pollard is going to be ready for the beginning of the season. If he isn't, let's say somebody steps up and is killing. You just bring Tony Pollard back into the fold and just throw him in there, or do you let the guy who's cooking rock? So it'll be interesting to see. All right, listen, we're going to jump in. We're going to do this because I want to hear what you guys got. We're going to do Hot Take Saturday, okay? Not Hot Take Thursday, Hot Take Saturday, and I want to hear your hot takes, okay? So, Juan, I'm going to start with you. Give me a hot take that you're looking forward to, maybe this coming off season, this season, whatever.
Tua Tagovailoa takes another step forward into being a good quarterback in the NFL. I'm calling for a 30-plus 4-touchdown throw and 4,000-yard season out of him with this Miami Dolphins offense. But the team as a whole is going to regress. And they will go and Tua will succeed in spite of the team around him. Because even though you bring in Nick Fangio, who's an elite defensive mind, you have an aging Jalen Ramsey who did take a step back the last couple of years, especially during that Super Bowl year that the Rams went on. And the offensive line is still not a short thing in Miami. I think Tua will thrive. I think he will deal, and I think he'll be great. But I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be near the bottom of the division alongside the New England Patriots.
Okay. All right. Not mad at it. I'm going to go to you, Coach. Give me a hot take.
So I had a hot take about the Jets, but in honor of Juan's and nuptials, I'm going to allow it to slide this year. Because we can talk later, Juan plus one. But
give it to me now. I can take it.
No.
Come on, Coach. Come on.
Jets don't make the playoffs, and I'll miss it by one game because the Dolphins and the Bills actually make the playoffs. Not to say y'all won't have a great season, but y'all will be off by one. Just because I have a feeling the Dolphins may have a really good season the same way you do, but as a full team, not just Tua.
Okay.
I like the addition of Ramsey a lot. Especially
I can't argue it. I just for me, I just don't see Jalen Ramsey being like the same guy that he was.
I'm not mad.
Like,
I don't need them to be the exact same, but you got Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard on the same team. I like
can't
it.
even argue
Nice
with that.
combo.
No.
But my real hot take was Panthers make the playoffs along with the Detroit Lions, and the Lions win their division.
Whoa! Who makes the playoffs?
Lions win their division and make the playoffs. Panthers make that playoff division. Oh yeah, you gotta think. Who do they have at the Saints? Who do they have at Tampa Bay? And no offense, but it's Desmond Ritter. So I'm not saying like he can't be a good quarterback, but your division's up for grabs, sir.
It absolutely is up for grabs, and I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly have the Saints winning it. They're still the most complete team. They've got probably the best defense in our division. Concern. They have the least concern at quarterback. To say Bryce Young is just going to come in and like that's disrespecting the rest of the division. So I'm not going to do that to them. I do love Bryce Young though. Roll Tide, and I think he's.
Oh right, Derek Carr's on the Saints. I forgot.
Exactly, and I think Bryce Young is going to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. However, I'm going to go with the guy who's proven, and that only one that's in the division that's kind of proven is Derek Carr. So I'm going to go with the Saints to win the division because I'm a realistic fan as well. All right, my hot takes. Number one, I got 3. Y'all going chew me up for this, but I don't care. Number one, Justin Fields wins MVP. I said it. I said it. Justin Fields wins.
Can I ask one question though?
Sure.
How many total touchdowns?
Total
touchdowns. How many passing yards?
Got you. Total touchdowns 41. Passing yards just over 4,300.
Just over 43.
Yep, I said it.
Wow.
I said it. Justin Fields MVP. Hot take number 2.
I can see it. That's not too far off. Okay.
You know what? I'm in support of it because I'm tired of people disparaging Justin Fields because of what he has to work with in Chicago. Justin Fields, I feel, is a great quarterback, an underrated quarterback. I feel like he's going to take the next step here with his new head coach at the helm. Especially, it's the same head coach that helped develop Jalen Hurts into the top 2 quarterback in this league that he is, and I will say that now. Jalen Hurts is the top 2 quarterback in this league right now. I'm sticking with it.
I'm not mad at it. I would argue it though. Hot take number 2. Sorry, coach, but the Browns are going to win the division. Yup, Deshaun Watson is going to bounce back, and he's going to show this is what I do. I wasn't called the Michael Jordan of the league by my coach for no reason. This is what I do. He's going to come back. He's going to go crazy and say, Joe Burrow, who? Huh? And so, yeah. That's
not the first time someone allegations won our division.
Hot take number 3. The hot boy is back in the hot state of Florida. The FSU alum, the first round pick of the Jags, is back in Florida. The Florida boy himself, Jalen Ramsey, is back in Florida in Miami. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Hot take.
Oh, heck no. No. I
said it.
No.
I don't know about that one.
No, I don't.
That one I'm not sure about. The other 2 I can see possibly.
I said it.
No, I can already see.
But
and the Defensive Player of the Year goes to Sauce Gardner, the New York Jets.
That's gonna be it. Said it and I meant it. All right, my last hot take is that Matt Ryan has a resurgence of his career if he stops patting the football.
Oh my, no.
I'm joking.
Okay. All right, thank God.
I'm joking. I'm kidding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up here for the Air It Out podcast. It was a pleasure being back with you guys, man. I missed being here with you guys, man. It was just so good. Listen, please do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Please go follow us on all of your social media platforms. That's right. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Do we have a Twitch yet? We're gonna get a Twitch, okay? And guess what? We're on Threads too. That's right. Go follow us on all your social media platforms inside the hashes, and then go to our YouTube. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and then turn on notifications so you can know when we are going live and you can get your comments put in there. We like to communicate and interact with our fans. That's what we do. And then if you don't do that, go to www.insidethehashes.com for all your football content. That means blogs, right? That means player interviews, right? That means podcasts, right? That means gaming. That means all the things when it comes to football, okay? And if you don't know how to get there, scan that QR code that's in the corner right next to my head. You see my head right there, okay? Oh, wait, I'm leaning the wrong way. There it is. Okay. Scan that QR code, it'll take you exactly where you need to be. For the Wine Plus One, congratulations. Coach Braxton, my name is Avery Collins. This is the Aired Out Podcast brought to you by Inside the Hashes. And I'm serious, if Matt Ryan stops petting the football.
So the only reason why Browns would actually win the division,
he's not even in the league anymore. He is literally in the broadcast league now. What if he just starts patting his like lava?
But he hasn't
He's not going to be patting.